In this episode of N1 DISinfo, I'm really happy to have Giovanni Zagni, chair of EDMO Task Force on EU 2024 elections, with me. Giovanni, thank you for joining us on N1 DISinfo. From your perspective, what are the biggest challenges for Europe ahead of 2024 elections?
Well, I think that one of the biggest challenges is to make it really a European election. You know, we are talking about 27 countries with 24 national languages. So the European Union has always struggled to have a really European public debate, and in that sense also to have a real European election that can talk to all the citizens at the same time and not having just different elections at the national level. Secondly, the point is to engage the citizens, especially in some countries in Central Europe. You have a really problem with a low turnout. So people are not showing up, maybe because they are not convinced that it is something that they should be interested in. And thirdly, and most importantly, the third challenge is to have a really free and fair public debate, because that's the basis for having a free and fair election. And that is where the issue of disinformation and misinformation comes in. You cannot have a free and fair debate if you don't have the right information for you that you need to have in order to decide who to vote for.
Just recently in Croatia, there was an interesting topic being on the front page of every newspaper and TV show, is that the ex-president of Croatia, Kolinda Grabar-Kitarović, just recently said that she lost the latest presidential election because of the hybrid war from Russian side ahead of the 2024 European election. Do you afraid, or do you think that that might be, one of the danger for democratic societies in Europe, that influence not necessarily from Russian side, but from all those different sides who might be interesting to interfere in the results of European election?
For sure, there will be a strong interest in interfering with European elections. And here we have to distinguish very clearly between what happens in the different regions of Europe. In some countries which are more on the forefront of this battle, so to say, we have proof and we are sure that there is meddling from external states and external forces in the public debate. But the problem with that is that in Europe, in some other countries, such foreign interference was not detected. For example, fact-checkers in Spain, recently they had an election, and as far as they know, they weren't able to see proof of direct intervention of foreign countries into their media sphere. While on the other hand, some other places like Bulgaria, which is where Russian is also a very well-known language, there you can see those kind of operations much more clearly. So it really depends a lot from the part of the Europe, but yes, this is an issue at the European level.
Are European citizens and especially voters aware of that? Because all those experience that we had from just recent past, like pandemic, and then the war, then energy crisis, it's influenced strongly on everyday living in Europe. So there is so much space for opening some kind of disinformation that yes, European politics for supporting the Ukraine is actually guilty for how prices of energy and everything else. So do you think that the people are aware that that is some kind of battlefield that might be used against the European politicians and democratic societies?
I would say that generally speaking, it's kind of a contradictory stance. So people are aware that those things are happening, but on the same time, they do not care very much. So they tend to see something that, for example, goes toward what they think, and they don't care who that is coming from. So even if it's foreign intervention in your media ecosystem, still you believe that they are the ones that are telling the truth. So they are a bit aware in some sense, but they are also not so interested in seeing that as a real problem.
But anyway, do you see, that influence might be affecting the European society, some kind of disinformation that might be really, really crucial for, people's choice on the election, or, that might influence, already on thinking, is it worth to go to election point and, just try to make some decisions or try to improve or giving the vote, that vote, will it be counted for some kind of better future of Europe? So do you think that those influences are real, and, how media and how European politicians could fight that?
I think they are real and varies a lot from the country. In some countries they are crucial, in some others are maybe less relevant. Depends also on the media ecosystem. But I think that the politicians, generally speaking, as the political class, they do not have the duty to inform the public. They have to they want to convince them. To inform the public, there's the media. And what the political class really needs to do is to value the independence, the variety of media across Europe. That is the thing that is going to make the difference. Because it is not so much a problem if the politicians lie. It is a problem if there are no strong independent media that can say that that is a lie.
When you mention strong independent media, there is a lot of questions, and it's always questions: do people believe in some media as we know because of the influence from the social networks and many other sources? With EDMO and project, which is actually made for try to combat the disinformation or some kind of influence, do you think that EDMO might be successful? And do you think that media, together with society, with science, with some kind of pressure from public, might be really influential and make some fact-checking things really useful for the people to distinguish what is good and what is bad?
I think that projects such as EDMO are important in putting together the best examples and the best practices. So EDMO in itself does not do fact-checking and does not, let's say, judge if some content is good or not, but what it tries to do is to put together what the best that we can find in the different countries across Europe, and to propose that to the public, to the policymakers, to the media, and then it's up to them if they want to pick that up. I'm really confident that what we are doing is a good job. Now the big effort that we're going to do in the next few months is to try to communicate that better to the public, and occasions such as this are really useful for us to explain what we are doing and what we aim to, especially for next year when there will be the European elections in 2024. So
do you think that, really like media might be successful, combating the disinformation and, some kind of fake news? Is it going to be strong enough in that battle, from all those different pressure that coming from some special groups, some kind of, populistic, groups and politicians,
sure,
together with the social media? Could we get that battle won?
We have to believe that this is a battle that we can win. We cannot see the future. We cannot be sure about what is going to happen. We can see that in big moments of crisis, there was a strong reaction by the European public opinion. So in terms of the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, there was a reaction. We don't have to only look at the bad things that are going on in our media ecosystem, but also at the positive examples. And we have to stay positive and believe that it is really possible to make a difference. And then time will tell.
We are ahead of the European 2024 election. What do you think that might be the biggest challenge?
Well, I think that the main challenge for the next elections will be that they risk to be just a sum of the national issues, the national political issues of choice in each singular country. So, for example, In Italy, they tend to be not very much about where Europe wants to go, what are the issues at stake, but they tend to be super focused on what's going on in your country. And that is really something that is keeping back the possibility to reform the union, to bring real change, because at the end of the day, also the political mandate for the people that go to the parliament is not so strong to change things from within, because there haven't been such big discussion inside their countries about what they want to do once they get to Brussels or Strasbourg.
And at the end, we always said that, the young people are future, in our countries and, European future. Do you think that young people will be willing to go and vote and, take those responsibility for the future of Europe?
Here we have the serious problem that generally speaking, Europe is an old continent. So really also for the politicians, it is not a winning strategy to appeal to the young, because the young are simply not as many. So they usually are the ones that put in the passion into politics, that have often radical ideas that really want to change. But we really need a political class that is able to think longer than 10, 20 years, because otherwise, they will always appeal to people that, the vast majority of people which are not young.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.